Good morning, everybody. This is Robin Heron, your carnivorous grandma here. Welcome to another episode of Carnivorous Grandma Speaks and Speaking with Doctors. So I'm very excited this morning to have with me Dr. Lisa Wiedeman, the Carnivore Doctor. Welcome, Dr. Lisa.
Thank you so much, Robin, for having me. If some of your viewers know me, they know I am just very passionate to speak about this topic and feel very fortunate. For me, gosh, I found this almost 15 years ago, and it puts me in a great position to talk about sustainability and the the long-term potential health benefits that I still enjoy. And it really is important because so many people have so many questions about how could this be healthy? It's all red meat because we've been so brainwashed, for our whole lives about eating fiber and lots of fruits and vegetables and avoiding saturated fat and red meat. And you got to eat lean chicken and fish. And it's all the furthest from the truth because guess what? I've eaten fatty red meat pretty much predominantly as my entire diet. I eat meat, seafood, and eggs and
Mhm.
butter. And I really go in and out of trying to eliminate cheese and heavy cream out of my life because it does not do my waistline any service. And yeah, if any of you are looking to lose weight, dairy's probably not a great thing to include in your diet because it's meant to fatten a calf. So
Mhm.
let's think about what it does to us humans.
Right. Yeah, I really love my dairy. I like cheese. So, I'm finding that I'm eating like a lot of cheese, eggs, and cheeseburgers and stuff like that. And I wasn't losing weight. So, not at the rate that I would have thought I would be. So that is interesting. I have been watching and listening to you for quite some time, Dr. Lisa, and I appreciate everything that you're doing in the space. Um, your videos are awesome. I love your cooking videos. My husband was looking for some eggnog during the holiday season, and you came right out with a video that was, here's how to make the
Perfect
eggnog, and that
timing,
was
right?
awesome. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was so good.
it's important to be able to at least initially have some substitutions because we get in that mindset of, oh, maybe feeling a little sorry for ourselves. I can't have this anymore and I want that. And we have to remember a lot of times it's that addictive craving in our head that is trying to work us and wear us down to get right back to our DOC, our drug of choice, right?
Yes.
And it's interesting that we bring up this cheese thing because at the beginning, I don't think I would have been able to transition into carnivore without it. I mean, it's so awesome to include in lots of recipes, and uh, it's great to be able to have something to snack on because we pretty much took away all the snacks, right? Unless you want to include just
Right.
jerky
Snack
as a
on me. Yes.
but, and then, you know, longer down the road and for people to think about is that there are casomorphines in cheese. You can go ahead and Google addictive qualities of cheese, and,
Mm.
it's a opioid derivative. And so then, and there's also a lot of interesting scientific pieces out there about uh, dairy causing breast cancer and prostate cancer, and that it does no good for people who have any sort of autoimmune issues, arthritis, on and on, skin issues. So, I'm very cautious though when I talk about those things because if it is something that is going to allow you to transition into this way of life, then have at it. And I still do include cheese in my life, but it's very limited. And
Mhm.
I'm going to just tell you that I come from a very, very long history of severe disordered eating and binge eating and sugar and carb addiction, processed food addiction. And so that kind of thing can cross addict when you get off of all that stuff. Now, where are we going, right? What are we doing? What are we filling that emotional void with? What happens when we're stressed and we have a little anxiety, or we're feeling lonely or bored? We
Yes.
tend to turn back to our habitual um, uh, patterns. And so I was finding that I could easily binge, and I will use that term, on cheese because I will fry it. I
Mm.
will, you name it, put lots of it
Yeah.
on something. And so I started digging in deep to understand that I actually coined this term, but uh, I use this term, that I don't have sober behavior around cheese. If I have a whole brick of cheese, I will keep slicing at it. I will warm it up. I will fry it. I will heat it up. I will snack on it. It calls my name. God forbid it's like a ball of fresh mozzarella that has no chance of staying 24 hours in my fridge. And so I had to start thinking, like, that's not sober behavior around that food, right? That's addictive behavior.
Yes.
And so I have this, I have it out in a YouTube video. I forget the title of it, but I do this thing called the sober circles. And there's green, there's yellow, and there's red. And in the green, it's what you have determined is healthy and you have sober behavior around. So beef, lamb, eggs. I've never binged on eggs.
No.
I've never binged on ground beef. Okay. So, um, seafood pretty much is safe. I don't binge on sardines. I've done a couple sardine challenges now. Not a
Yes.
fan of those little fishies so much. They're the perfect food for me to do the
Mhm.
challenge on. So we could talk about that separately. But so my green circle is kind of tight and small. Why? Because in my yellow circle, I had to kick out bacon, because bacon I can overeat. If I make a pound of bacon, Lisa wants to eat the pound because, boy, is that good. Crunchy,
Yes.
crispy, fatty, salty. That doesn't stand a chance much here for me to control my behavior around it. So that's in a yellow circle. And also the cheese in a yellow circle. The yellow circle are things that I have parameters around if I am going to put them in my mouth. And one is, cheese does not come into my refrigerator, but if I'm at a restaurant and I order a bacon cheddar burger, I have my cheese. Why? Portion control. Lisa doesn't have
Yes.
access to the rest of the cheese back in that restaurant kitchen. Okay. Same thing with bacon. So I will have it in an omelet when I'm out. I will ask for it as a side with my steak when I'm out because I'm not having the bread, the vegetable, the salad, and whatnot. So sometimes they'll actually put some bacon on your plate if you ask
Yep.
as a side. So
Yep.
again, portion control. They'll put probably two or
Mhm.
three strips, and I'm happy. So then there is the red circle, and that's sweeteners of any type because that goes nowhere good for anybody who is drawn to the taste of sweet, which we all are. And so that's a definite no because that will just keep lingering as a problem for most people. Um, Also in my red zone, obviously, is any non-animal foods, but trying to think as far as carnivore foods, things like pork rinds that people will tend to overeat and over snack
Mhm.
on could be in your yellow circle because you could weigh it out and say, when I eat pork rinds, this is my yellow circle parameter around that food. I need to
Right.
weigh out 1 ounce and I get only 1 ounce, those kind of things.
Mhm.
But that's the way I manage things that I still understand about myself that are difficult, um, you know, difficult day-to-day things that I don't want to struggle with. I want to feel food freedom, and I want to feel free of
Yes.
cravings and free of binging and free of snacking and free of overeating. Because the whole thing with snacking is we really should not snack. You should eat whatever you're comfortable, 1, 2, or 3 meals, whatever you feel naturally drawn to do. Eat your meat, have a side of seafood or eggs or whatever, but have your main meaty, fatty, meaty meal. Eat enough that you're satiated, and then you wait till you get hungry. And then guess what? You get to eat again, and you eat those things that are in your green circle, or
Mhm.
cautiously anything in your yellow. And there you go. You've eaten and you're satiated. Now, why would we an hour, 2 hours later in the evening feel we need to snack? That's an emotional event. That's an addictive event. And you should think long and hard about why you're doing it. Boredom, stress, anxiety, whatever it is. And start thinking about the benefits of intermittent fasting, not eating from, let's say, 5 or 6 o'clock all the way till maybe 10 or 11 or 12 o'clock the next day. So there's, because this is difficult. I mean, we have long-standing snacking habits, and
We do.
I will be the first to admit I am, my favorite thing is as far as procrastination. I'm getting into something on my laptop here at my desk, and then there's like a little bit of a tough part where it's frustrating me and I'm not getting it. And I'm like, just put it off till later. And then I see the list of other stuff to do, and I just love to procrastinate and get off my chair and go look to see what I can put in my mouth.
Snack on. Yep. Right.
Yeah.
I have
So,
so many questions about what you just said.
yeah.
Um, so I wanted to start with, you talk a lot about sober behavior around food. Coming from a history of addiction, this really resonates with me. I have a philosophy that I really believe, for me, the only means of being cured from an addiction is abstinence. So I just wondered why you choose this language to describe the relationship with food.
Because it's pretty much, I'd say, 12 years now out of the almost 15 I've been doing this, 12 years of coaching others. And through my own experience, I have fully embraced and understand the strength, severity, and difficulty of this addiction. And abstinence is the only way. I am not moderating half of a cupcake ever.
Right.
Okay. I'm not saying I can have one cookie. It's the old, one's too many and a thousand's never enough. I'll eat the whole package. And so unless for both me and, I will say, everybody who I coach, if they really think about it, they might want to deny that they're addicted to it, but we don't yo-yo diet because we just decide it's fun to gain the weight again and fun to lose it, right? We don't struggle to consistently try to manage our food intake and restrict and fast and do all this stuff. We don't do all that just on a whim, like, oh, this is fun, right? It's struggling against the battle to overeat that stuff that we shouldn't, most of us shouldn't even be eating most of that in the first place, right? But until I get people to actually understand the severity of this, because this is one of the, I'm going to say, is the most difficult addiction to overcome. And I know many who have overcome drug and alcohol and nicotine and caffeine addictions. And by far, I personally know some who have had all of those addictions in addition to bulimia, which is an outright, food, carb, sugar addiction, overeating disorder, who overcame all for the others and struggled like to no end on that last one of food. So don't kid yourself. And you know what? If this was easy, everybody'd have a flat stomach and nobody'd be watching this right now. That's
Right.
that's what I really talk about, because this is no joke. There are, and it all of it has to do with that, at least right now in today's day and age. um, we're at the point where cigarettes are bad for you. Heroin's going to kill you, cocaine, right? Alcohol's going to ruin your liver and eventually kill you. Um, that there is detrimental, serious health effects to those things. And so it's recognized as common knowledge that if you are abstinent and recovered alcoholic, people don't walk up to you when they know that and say, "Oh, you have to try this cab. This is the most delectable you will ever have. Come on, you only live once." Like, nobody's going to push that. They know, like, "Ooh, nope, no, not a drinker, can't drink. They're sober," right? Um, and so that also with heroin, you just remove yourself from those people that you used to gather around for that. You can remove yourself. Not so much with food. It's everywhere. Triggers are everywhere. And guess what? Everybody around you is laughing and having fun and offering it and pushing it and encouraging you back into your
Yeah.
DOC, your drug of choice, right? Because
Right.
many of us, and if you can relate to me when I say things like, we like to eat alone. We like to wait until others are asleep before we might indulge a little. Or we go out and buy it and we eat it in our car and throw out the wrappers before we get home and hide the wrappers and
Hmm.
hoard food, your special little things, behind something else so nobody else gets to it so you can have it after everybody's out of the house, those kind of things. That's addictive
Yes,
behavior, very addictive
it is.
behavior. And
It is.
so I have, I guess, made my way into this not intentionally, um, as a proponent of this whole addiction thing. It's because it's my experience, and I find many others in this carnivore space have not come from where myself and many others come at this from. And I'll just point out, let's say somebody like um, Anthony Chafee. So he didn't have an obesity problem. He certainly
Mhm.
didn't have an eating disorder. He heard from his college professor that plants have no benefit to you, and he didn't eat them. So he said, "Huh, that's interesting. I guess maybe I won't eat them," right? Like, I know some of the background stories of some of these people, and
Mhm.
they are touting, and he dogmatically says, "Meat and water, have at it.
Yep.
This is what we need to do, and do it." Right? Well, guess
Mhm.
what? If you have any sort of level on the spectrum of addiction to this stuff, not so easy, especially
Right.
when you've got friends and family and coworkers who are all down here with you indulging in this stuff. And now you're trying to pull away from your tribe there. You're trying to say, "No, that's not good. I can't handle that." Either it's health issues, emotional, mental issues, physical issues, weight issues, borderline diabetes issues, want to get off medicine issues. You have your why that's making you cry, that's caused you to look into this crazy fly your freak flag way of eating called carnivore. And
Mhm.
now, now these other people, you're sort of shining a light on their, maybe you could say, bad health eating habits, right? So that doesn't sit well with people. Plus,
Right.
they want you to keep indulging with them. You used to have ice cream on the couch with me. You used to have popcorn at the movies with me. We used to always go to that Mexican place. And next thing you know, your little ditch demon in there is like, Yeah, come on, hang with your people, do that. And it's so easy to slip right back in. And that's why I say it's so important to have that new group of people that are trying to go where you want to go with optimal health in mind and biohacking things and this whole toxic food stuff, how we can't put that stuff in our bodies. And sugar is inflammatory. Sugar feeds cancer. Sugar is so detrimental to our both physical and mental health. Aside from that, then we got the seed oil thing, and everybody's eating their French fries and having all their
Yes.
packaged foods. I say, don't eat anything that comes in a box, a bag, a bottle, or a jar. Doesn't belong in your body. A company mixed stuff together and made it, and you're buying it and eating it. And that is not natural to humans. We got to eat meat, seafood, eggs, dairy if you tolerate it, dairy if you're sober around it, um, and drink water. And that's then you realize the rules are simple, execution is not easy. So
Right. Totally agree with that.
that's how and
So
so yeah, that's how I'm
mhm,
gonna say in answer to your question about the verbiage relating to the addiction is I find it to be the most effective at getting people to really, because I have so many that come into my groups and say, yeah, it wasn't until I listened to you and really embrace the fact and acknowledge that, yeah, I am addicted to it. And this is how I'm going to get out of it. And that's why I'm so driven. I always said if I can just help one person out of that hellhole I was in, of that yo-yoing and binging and restricting and on and feeling like, I don't know, like it's just so difficult to feel so less about yourself because you can't control yourself around food. It's a very horrible feeling. So
yes, it
that's
is.
my driving force with this addiction verbiage, because Dr. Robert Sy was carb addiction doc. He's another one out who puts videos out about the addiction aspect of this. And I'm trying to think who else. I think I don't know. There's really not that many that really emphasize this part of it. And this is crucial because if it were easy, like I said, you'd get the rules and you'd run with it.
Right. That's true. Um, I was gonna say that a couple of things that I have addressed. I originally heard you talking about removing all sweet tastes out of your lifestyle. Originally, I tried 30 days of not having sweets, and I was just absolutely miserable. So this tells me that this is a stronghold in addiction. So I did 30 days, and then I incorporated them back in during the time that I've been carnivore. I've been carnivore since February. And then a couple of months ago, I decided to eliminate them again. And I felt so sad, heartbroken almost. I felt devastated. My mood was bad. I was crabby, fussing at my husband, and it's just that addictive cycle, of just being
Grieving, grieving,
miserable.
and
Great, yeah,
mourning the loss of your best friend.
right.
Yeah, because
Yeah. So
and I yeah, it and I tell people, because so many people wanna deny that a little bit of stevia every day in every drink is okay, because it's the, "Oh, I got have my electrolytes." Well, guess what? That's just your vehicle for your sweet. And, "Oh, I gotta have my
mm,
morning coffee with my in it," right? All that stuff. But it really has to be understood that it's typically that last thing that you hold on so tightly to is the one thing you most need to give up. And
yeah,
it's really hard to accept that, and it's hard to get yourself to challenge yourself to that. But just think about the fact that what you said earlier is Yeah, I gave it up for 30 days and now I'm trying to give it up again. Well,
Yeah, yeah. So I totally eliminated it back in October, at the beginning of October, and I was miserable for at least a month. I was so devastated about having to give that up. And then the second thing was coffee. About 2 weeks after I gave up the sweeteners, I gave up coffee. And the coffee wasn't nearly as difficult as the sweet. And I think it's because we have sweet taste in our mouth from birth, you know. So we're eating sweet and tasting sweet our whole lives. And so I'm just, I was really shocked at my reaction to giving it up, actually.
it's not easy.
So no, it's not. So, just going back to cheese and autoimmune. So I have an autoimmune condition called eczema, and you were saying that cheese can sometimes impact. I mean, is that how consistent is that? That if you have an autoimmune condition, that you should not have dairy? Is that like set in stone?
Well, so Robin, this is what you do. You determine for yourself. You give up all dairy for 90 days,
Hmm.
and you're doing your own N=1 experiment.
Yeah.
And you are going to determine what that does for your skin and your aches and your pains and your joints or whatever else might also improve after 90 days. I say 90. People like to say, oh, do a 30-day challenge, but you got to give yourself, your body time because this stuff's in our system and we have to. And, I say you can do anything for 90 days. It's 90 days and tell yourself on the 91st day, when you look back at those 90 days and you determine what you've learned from that, you then make the decision on the 91st day what you're going to do. And yeah, if there's any autoimmune issues going on, even some say also to give up eggs and dairy, and then maybe try to reintroduce the eggs, or and then you could some people with butter. I keep butter in. I'm not drawn to overeat it. I'm not addicted to
Hmm.
it. I feel it does help with the macros when I try to bump the fat up of something maybe that's very lean, and so and I enjoy it, and I have no reason to eliminate butter. But yeah, if there's any issue going on, it's well worthwhile for the trial. And I know it's hard. It's up there with sweeteners, giving up the
Yeah,
cheese. At least
it is.
that's
I
my
think you said
situation.
that last thing that you're holding on to so tightly,
The
that
one
that
thing
could be
that
the
you
thing.
probably
Yeah.
most need to give up, and until you do it, you won't know. And you could
Yes.
ask 100 people like you just asked me, and you're still not gonna get your answer for Robin until
Right.
Robin does it. But you
Yep.
could listen to, Sophia Clemens. She's in Hungary. She does that PKD, very restrictive, version of carnivore to help people with end-stage cancer or for, severe health issues. Uh,
Mhm.
and you listen to any of her presentations on YouTube, and you will hear her. Nobody in her program eats cheese or eggs when they initially come to her. Um, and then I think she does allow eggs back in after a period of time based on the progress. But yeah, and so Susan there's writing eczema didn't realize is autoimmune. Yeah, it's skin issues your are autoimmune issues. Arthritis, lupus, Sjogren's, dry eye, even. Um,
Mm.
I'm an eye doctor for over 32 years, and between blepharitis and dry eye, I have had a number of people report to me about the uh, improvement in those, their dry eye and blepharitis going away. I actually had one of my patients who had severe blepharitis and meibomianitis, eyelid disease disorder, and was at their wits' end of getting those, inflamed bumps, the styes, the chalazion,
Mhm.
red eye, and miserable. And, you know, as a trained physician in the regular medical system, I am to then write a prescription for a low dose antibiotic and, see if that can help the poor guy. No, 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 not me. Root cause is not handing out an antibiotic, right? Well, and I'll rephrase it. The antibiotic is a certain type that also has anti-inflammatory properties to it. That is what's helping this. It's not a bacterial infection that we're trying to cure with an antibiotic. So I just wanted to clarify that. But so this particular gentleman actually listened to me when I said, I know this sounds crazy, but here's what you're going to try if you're serious about relieving yourself of this. And sure as heck, it was so interesting. 6 months later, I happened to be hosting my first Northeast meetup here in New Jersey. And I put it out to my Instagram followers. And this was 4 years ago when I first started this. And I had a very small audience. And so I had 8 people, and it was right coming out of the quarantine lockdown, and you couldn't here in New Jersey eat in a restaurant. So I had them here at my condo, and the doors, knock, knock, people are coming in, and this gentleman comes in and says, "Do you remember me?" And I go, "Refresh my memory." Tells me his name and says, "I was your patient with the eye problem, and I've been following you ever since and doing it, and I've never felt better. I dropped
Wow.
40 pounds. I'm at my high school weight. My eyes are awesome. And I just wanted to come and give you a hug and thank you in person." And so I have firsthand um, testimonial information because, people say, well, where's the science behind that? I want to see the study. You know how many millions of dollars it takes to do a proper study and to actually have people report what they actually eat? And most of the studies are done by memory, people checking off what they ate in the past year and all that stuff. Doesn't
Right.
work. So I just think, you can poo-poo anecdotal and testimonial evidence all you want. I don't poo-poo it because if I had poo-pooed it 15 years ago when I first heard about this, I would not be where I am now. So
Right.
you have to take your health into your own hands. It's not easy.
I agree. And I really feel that, with the number of anecdotal stories that are out here now of people changing their lives drastically through a carnivore diet. I mean, how many people have to say this changed my life before it goes changes from being anecdotal? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah, well, but the problem with that is the big pushback for this information to get out because everybody's brainwashed by mass media, right? To eat lots of fruits and vegetables, that's what's healthy. And then everybody around you is saying, "What are you doing? Trying to kill yourself with a heart attack? What's your cholesterol? How do you possibly think you're healthy? How are you getting your vitamins? Or you must be taking a lot of supplements." I'm like, you know how many supplements I take? Goose egg. Through all these years,
wow.
not a single one. I trust that I get all the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients I need from eating fatty meat and seafood and eggs. What makes me
Awesome.
think that my body is going to go into a disease state when I am eating what has been naturally put on earth for us to eat? And then we could get into the organ conversation because everybody is so concerned, like, "Oh, which brand of organ supplement? I don't like to eat liver. Which brand is the best, and is that a clean brand?" And, "Oh," and I go, I don't like organs. I really am not a fan. I haven't eaten them for this whole 15 years. I also am not taking organ supplements. Why? I mean, think about a liver in an entire mammoth animal that ancestral man might have hunted. How many
Mhm.
people in that village are actually getting a piece of that liver? Is it
Right.
essential? Is it necessary? I also throw out to any person who is starting to, I call it, freak out about this whole organ thing. I go, why why now are you so concerned? You weren't concerned about getting your liver supplements or liver when you were eating Pop Tarts, cookies, ice cream, pizza, and pasta. You did not think about this whatsoever. Now all of a sudden, you're eliminating all the poisonous toxic food that is thrown at us in society. You are nourishing your body with the most nutrient dense food possible. And now you're like worried about organs. How does that
Yeah.
make any sense, right? You have much bigger things to worry about, which is normally what the conversation comes around to, which is the fact that the person keeps slipping in the carb ditch and going in and out. Oh, Mike, yeah, that's
Right.
great. Liver pop. Ooh, boy.
That
Yeah,
sounds
that was
terrible. I do enjoy organ meats, but I was making some liver a couple of weeks ago, and I had extra out. So after I had eaten it one day, I was preparing it again, and I just did not feel like I wanted to eat it. So I didn't. I shared it with my with a family member that also likes liver. But yeah, I was like, I had enough. I ate, till I was satiated on that, and then I didn't need any more. So my body told me, like, you have had enough of this. You don't need to eat
Yeah,
anymore,
and there is something very significant and serious about vitamin A toxicity and liver being very high in vitamin A. So, and there's lots of really good um, presentations and info on Judy Cho's Nutrition with Judy YouTube channel. She has, I think, 2 or 3 different YouTube videos with vitamin A experts. And there's a lot of really good information. And we should not feel we need to eat an ounce of liver a day every single day because
No,
that stuff is
right.
cumulative. And I looked at it as, I mean, oh, so I'll back up. I have happened to have always my whole life enjoyed liverwurst. So every once in a while, if I am at a nice German butcher with a nice clean liverwurst, without corn syrup and all that, whatever, and
It's hard to find.
it is hard to find, but I do enjoy that.
Mhm.
Yeah, a liver pate. I've actually experimented making a chicken liver pate. It's like, it's okay. I made it. I
Yeah.
froze a bunch of it, and I tolerated getting through it. I'll tell you what I have enjoyed lately, though, which I never would have thought this, but I do throw it into my seafood bisque that I make. That's basically sardines and um, but cod liver, a tin of cod liver.
Mm.
I cannot ever find them at any store. I just get them on Amazon. And I have actually eaten one right out of the tin, and it's got a very interesting mousse-like texture. The
Mm.
flavor is not strong. It's not at all. And believe me, you're talking about somebody who's not a fan of organs. I mean, I've tried heart. I've actually
Mhm.
purchased, we have a store and you can get it online, Wild Fork, and you can get thymus, which is called sweetbreads. It's actually the thymus gland.
Mhm.
Very interesting, not too off-putting. I would probably have to mix it in with something because it's a little weird. Most of this is because we're not familiar with this stuff. But
Right.
I have tried. I'm not against trying too many things, although I know some people eat brain, and I'm not there yet, but people
I haven't
do.
tried that.
They say it's actually good. Mix it in with scrambled eggs, and I don't
Hmm.
know, but I mean, just gonna say, take it from somebody who's not a big fan of organs, and this cod liver, which is extremely healthy. might be something that comes in, the little tins, like how the sardines do. And yeah, I just dump it into a big recipe of, sometimes when I'm making, I also have a recipe that, I mean, you could call it fish salad, but basically it's sardines, uh, canned salmon. I think I put, you can vary it, but a can of tuna and 4 or 5 soft-boiled eggs so that the runny yolk becomes part of the binder, some softened butter, and into that I also will put in a can of cod livers, and it's rather
Hmm.
delicious. And then the biggie, though, after I pulverize all that together, then I take canned, or you can do fresh chicken breast, but I like the big Costco cans of chicken breast. I'll put them into a bowl and then pour in this other fish mixture with the soft-boiled eggs and butter and cod liver and kind of mix that in. So it becomes like, I don't know, kind of tastes like tuna salad
Oh,
ultimately,
that
but
sounds so good. Of
it
course,
is. It's
I'm
really
on
good.
day 5 of a 5-day fast, so everything sounds good.
Oh. Yeah, that's a rough one. Yeah, and I'm not a fan of fasting myself. I just don't enjoy it. I don't like the feeling of hunger. I'm also
Mm,
really big on the fact that I feel long term, are we doing this for a potential partial dropping weight issue? And then we're going to have to keep doing that because then we're overeating on the days we're not fasting, or else why would we be fasting? It's also can be a little rough on your hormones. So
mm,
to be cautious about fasting. And I'm big on keeping muscle mass, and technically our bodies should use fat before it burns off, uses up muscle, because that should be the way it happens with our bodies, because fat is the entity that is the stored energy. So
mhm.
that is why I think that, for the most part, we should be losing mostly fat, but you do lose some muscle. And I'm trying so hard to get everybody who are in my groups to do the slow burn twice a week for 30 minutes. It's so effective to help maintain your muscle and also try to build muscle. And, pretty much after the age of 30, 35, our muscle diminishes, called
Yeah.
sarcopenia, and it happens. So, I say we have to all be ready for the zombie apocalypse. You have to be self-sufficient, and the stronger you
Mhm.
are, the more balance and core strength you have, the more resilient you are, and the more self-sufficient you are. We don't want to rely on anybody else over time. And yeah, I think that's, as much as we talk about the whole eating and carnivore and the addiction, there's a whole other side of health, which, trying to remove environmental toxins, which is really hard. The plastics, the EMF, and blah, blah, blah. Do the ground,
Mhm.
get the sunlight in your eyes, get good sleep, and all of this. So it's all part of it. It's all,
Right.
we all have to just keep striving to make incremental steps to be as healthy as we can.
Right. I do have a few questions I want to make sure that I get to before we run out of time. This time is going so fast.
Right.
Laura's just mentioning that she does fasting. She's used it for over a decade. I do follow Dr. Jason Fung as well. And yeah, so this is fasting. The fasting that I'm doing is partially for spiritual reasons with my church. And we do a 21-day fast at the beginning of every year. Uh, but I decided that I would do a 5-day water fast as part of that 21 days. So I'm
Wait,
just
so
doing and
what is the 21 day is not a water fast?
no, it is like an intermittent fast is what I would
Oh,
call it. So they fast from midnight to 12 noon or till 3. So, a lot of people, I guess, don't just naturally intermittent fast every day. Kind of like but yes, it's an
yeah, or
intermittent fast. So,
doing what some or many people do, OMAD, that one meal a day, and that's their
mhm,
natural comfort zone, because you will then at your meal be able to eat a nice hefty amount and you enjoy being able to eat a nice hefty amount of food. And then you just wait until the next day to your one meal, and people can do really, really well with that.
Yes. So that's what's happening with my church. So
All right, so
Laura's asking, have you seen any with your patients any improvements of eyesight with carnivore?
yeah, and maybe Robin, you can put a link in the show notes here, but I have a YouTube video where I go through all of the ocular and vision health benefits of people who have eaten carnivore. And it's interesting, and I think I explained at the beginning of the video, like the way Laura worded her question, have you seen with your patients an improvement in eyesight with carnivore, right? So you're referring to my patients who walk in, have an appointment, come in, and they're getting their eyes checked and maybe a new prescription for glasses, right? So how am I seeing a improvement in their eyesight over time unless they were carnivore? Because they're not going to come
Mhm.
in and I'm going to go, you know what? Why don't you just start eating meat, seafood, and eggs? And let's see in 6 months if we change your little prescription a little less. So that's never happening, right? Nor is it happening where if I have somebody and let's say their prescription was a minus 2.50 diopter nearsighted, and I'm seeing them and they have increased to a 3.0. I am not saying, oh, your prescriptions got worse. And there is some anecdotal evidence that if you switch to the carnivore diet, that maybe we can halt the progression of this, right? Who's going to go home and stop eating bread and pasta and rice and treats and snacks and their standard habitual way of eating and their salads? And who knows, maybe they're vegetarian. Though they do not take well to that advice. So my point being is there's no eye doctor out here that can say with their patients, because you specifically say with your patients, right? But I will tell you, because of the fact that I am an eye doctor and I am prominent in this carnivore world, that I have an amazing ability to collect some data of lovely people who write to me and say, you know, I went carnivore to solve my diabetes. And wow, I just had my annual eye checkup and my vision is getting better. And I don't even need to wear my glasses when I drive at night anymore,
Awesome.
or whatever the stories are. So, Laura, absolutely, I'll tell you, yes, I have many. And if you go watch that video, I go through each thing like the glaucoma, floaters, like all of these different things that people have reported have gone away after they started
Amazing.
carnivore. Maybe they're carnivore 6 months, 18 months, 2 years, and they start reporting in, ah, this is really awesome. I never expected this to happen. But I am so I really want to impress upon everybody who's watching that you have to think if you've come to this knowing that this is going to heal your, let's say, insulin problems with diabetes, or heal your hypertension problems, or heal your skin problems, or heal your arthritic problems, or your depression and anxiety problems. It's going to heal this because you've heard it and seen it. And all around people are saying, yo, you got to try carnivore, right? What would make you think it's not also simultaneously trying to heal every organ in your body?
Right.
Your
Yes.
eyes, right? Your,
Mhm.
your whatever it is that we have potentially damaged from a lifetime of poor food environment, that we are here to evolve, and that means healing. You scratch yourself, you bleed, you scab, you heal. You get a virus, your body spikes a fever to intentionally heat the environment to make it non-viable for the virus to live in, to kill the virus off, right? We have these mechanisms to heal. Our body is constantly in a state of trying to not be in a disease state. We eliminate mainly, it's so much of this is the seed oils, the canola oil, soybean oil, safflower oil, cottonseed oil, rapeseed oil, all of these things. If that is out of our life, it does take, is a long half-life on that stuff. It's very inflammatory. It embeds in all our cells. 6 to 8 years to get rid of that. But if we stay consistent and keep all of that toxic food out, our bodies are going to just keep evolving to heal and to remain here on earth. That's what happens with any animal. My eye
Yes,
doctor does know my lifestyle and paid attention that my eyesight improved significantly. So there you go. She's
that's pretty
another
awesome.
anecdotal evidence right there.
So Susan's asking about eating 18 eggs. She says, should she cut the whites out?
Well, why? I don't know, Susan. So there's always these issues with trying to answer these things, because that's why I say to people, and I get over 150 messages a day on DMs and Instagram, and I do attempt to read through them all, but the majority, I have a copy and paste response for something like this. I don't know near enough about you. I would love to get to know you. Come into my groups. You can ask me questions every week. You can talk with others doing this. It's the most incredible thing to surround yourself around people who are up at your goal of health here, rather than down here, I say point A and point
Hmm.
B. To surround yourself around a whole bunch of people who you can interact with and talk with and relate to, and ask these specific questions about specific things, and I'll be able to much better answer when I know about 8 other things about you before I could even begin to answer that. So basically, Susan, if you're feeling great and doing great, eating 18 eggs, why cut out the whites? But
Right.
if you have whatever, all sorts of different things, there's, a whole different set of reasons for either cutting them out entirely initially, or the whites, or cutting down on the number and just go a period of time of just eating lion diet, ruminant meat and water. Ruminant meat, salt, and water is basically lion diet. You'll find out a whole heck of a lot about yourself and what specific foods do or do not do. Because after you do that for 90 days, and then you introduced 18 eggs a week after that, see if you notice what's happening to you and your body after having cleaned it out and then putting it back in.
Awesome. Simpson wants to know, how do you know if you have a histamine problem?
Yeah, so that's something that can change over time as your body heals, because who would think that our bodies naturally have a histamine problem, right? Um, and basically, you can Google all the symptoms of histamine reactions, as far as rashes, and there's all sorts of different reactions. And then Google high histamine foods and try for 90 days to avoid them, and then see if you notice a difference. Reintroduce one of those high histamine foods that you might happen to love, and see what your response is to it. All of this is, it's gradual tweaking along your journey. Yeah, Mike says
Yes,
metabolic health is a game changer. Yeah,
absolutely.
hormonal
That's what
health,
I'm finding
metabolic
out.
health. Yep.
So Mike is saying that Low Carb Down Under had a brilliant video on countries that had spikes in macular degeneration once seed oils were introduced. Do your keto carnivore patients, or the other people that you were just talking about, tend to not have macular degeneration?
Yeah, so that's a big, 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 powerful topic, because, I'm obviously so closely tied to it, because 1 in 3 people over the age of 75 now has macular degeneration. And 100 years ago, prior to Crisco, margarine, and all of that toxic sludge seed oil coming into our food system, it was 1 in hundreds of thousands of people that would
Mm,
have and they had the instrumentation to identify it back then, because then people say, well, they just didn't look for it, or they just didn't have the ability to see it. Nope, they did. But you can look back to when the ophthalmoscope was invented. And I have two videos, and Robin, if you will maybe put both of those in the show notes. One
Mhm.
is with Dr. Chris Kenobi on how to stop macular degeneration. And another one I did probably 6 months prior to that. And it is my highest viewed YouTube video. So I know it was impactful and people have forwarded it. And that's a really, really good one to watch. I show this is, yeah, I go and I show a bit about dry and wet macular degeneration, but I really lay it out there that this is what we're putting in our mouth that's causing these things to happen. And yeah, the the seed oil issue is huge. And Dr. Kenobi has really dedicated his whole career and life now. He's no longer a practicing ophthalmologist because he came upon this knowledge that he's formulated a hypothesis that it is the seed oils that has caused the incremental rise of macular degeneration along with pretty much all diseases. I just think it has to do with what organ system gets attacked first. And because why would somebody who has a poor, what I call standard atrocious diet instead of the standard American diet, because we have national, I have people in my groups that are in the UK and Australia. So I
Mhm.
just call it standard atrocious diet, right? And so why would somebody, you know, let's say be 70 years old, but stricken with severe arthritic knees and hips and has got to get them replaced and all that, but their vision's perfect. My own
Mm.
father, macular degeneration, along with a lot of other issues and health issues, though, but his eyes got affected. But, so I'm not, it's very interesting that as time goes on and I have been in this for so long, and I can tell you that I do counsel every macular degeneration patient I have, even if it's just early stages, they notice nothing in their vision. There's just early signs inside their eyes. And I say, you've got some macular drusen, which is the beginning signs of early macular degeneration.
Mm.
You absolutely want to halt this and potentially reverse this right now because you can go blind from it. You won't actually lose 100% of your vision, but you literally lose your central vision. There's, yeah, a lot of devastating vision loss from it. And I talk about, I talk about eliminating all processed food and explain what seed oils are and explain how you cannot eat mayonnaise and salad dressing or sauces in a restaurant, or even, I'd say anything in a restaurant. Even though you think you're getting a nice healthy piece of salmon, you better tell them you're allergic to oil. Please, you can use butter, no oil, because they squirt that crap in the pan before they sear your lovely healthy piece of salmon.
Wow.
And so,
Right.
and here we go. I'm going to tell you also, some restaurants, I cringe at this thought. But the more I look into it and talk at different restaurants, because I like to engage the wait staff and get the owner or the
Mhm.
chef to come out. But many places deep fry their bacon in seed oils. Look, I know I saw that look of surprise,
What?
Robin. Yeah, why? Because there's a couple reasons. Because I've looked into this. One, it's very easy, consistent method. That oil is at a set temperature, right? They
Mhm.
know exactly how many minutes for perfect bacon. It's not splattering, goes down in
Mm.
the basket, right? So timing wise is great, and it's quick and easy, and you can do a lot at once. So I now, when I'm at let's say I'm out to brunch with friends and I'm getting a side of bacon because I'm thinking, wow, I can have a side of bacon with my little omelet. Well, guess what? You got to ask. I say, do
Oh
you
my
grill
God.
your bacon or do you deep fry it? And I have had a waiter say to me, oh, well, we can do both. Which do you prefer?
Oh,
But we do both back
I'm
there.
definitely going to add that to my list of questions.
I
That's
know.
crazy.
Very crazy.
We're like out of time. I want to share your channel though, really quick for the folks that are here. Um, let's see if we can get this going.
Yeah, and I would like to say that aside from my YouTube, if you click the live tab on there, can you do that?
Okay.
And then
Yes.
click popular, right above
Okay.
Carnivore, right there. So there,
Yeah.
so you can see the first and the third most popular are the macular degeneration ones there,
Mm-hmm.
and then the fourth one happens to be that other one we just spoke about, which is the eye disease improvements with carnivore. So
So I
yeah.
will make sure to link these. Dr. Lisa's doing amazing things on her channel. I love the cooking videos. Like I said, you were the person that first told me, when I say told me, you told everybody, that we need to get rid of that sweet taste, that it's an addiction and we need to really get rid of it. So
Well,
I
and I tell
appreciate
people, I
all of
say it's like changing seats on the Titanic when you get off sugar and you're on
Mm,
stevia or monk fruit or whatever. It's
right.
like, yeah, you're still on the ship that's going down if you're really trying to resolve these issues. And Robin, I'd like to throw out also, I am so passionate to help and have people understand the importance of being together with others who are doing this. So if you could link a
Mm-hmm.
link to my groups, I'm on Mighty Network as Carb Sober community. Or anybody can find it if you just go to Mighty Network, but I can give you the link. And I
Mm-hmm.
also host here. I live on the ocean here in New Jersey, and I host little 5-day carnivore boot camps where I do a very individualized retreat where I get to know everybody. We do private one-on-ones with me. You walk the beach. You do cooking demos at every meal. And it's really exciting for me because it's so empowering to have people come together in person and be able to get together. And I'm, at least for 2024, I'm committed. I'm hosting 4 retreats, June, July,
Awesome.
August, September. So 2
Oh
of
my
them are sold
gosh.
out, but there is space if anybody's interested. You can get that link down below too. If Robin will put that there for me, that'd be great.
I absolutely will. I have a
Well,
whole list of things that I
Mike
want to
asked
put.
Mike asks, does the boot camp include beach volleyball? It can include anything on the beach that you want because, between brunch and dinner, you'll have some free time. I might even have one of the retreats be a yoga retreat. But yeah, I put a beautiful fire pit out on this big deck overlooking the ocean. There's going to be Q&As in the evening, and yeah, it's going to be anything and everything that the group wants to make it. So thanks so much for having me, Robin. Yeah, sprinting is
Thank you.
definitely on
Yeah.
the agenda at
Okay,
the
great.
boot camp too. And they'll be able to come to my local Planet Fitness gym with me if they want to come see how I do my workouts and basically live my carnivore life here on the beach. And it's going to be just
Awesome.
great experience. So,
Oh, I
all right.
would love to come to one. I'm going to look it up myself and see if I can make it work for
Yes,
me.
I'll send over the link of all of this stuff in an email
Okay,
to you when we get off. All right. Thanks
perfect.
so
Well,
much.
thank you so much, Dr. Lisa. Thanks, everybody. I hope you have a great Saturday. We'll see you next time.